wetin go before. This commission, wetin not for himself, is strong against for work with other people then, so that they go get education for the people and they go able to build themselves up as salon people, so that they go able to push transparency, accountability, responsibility, and all the other institutions them for people. This go make civil society get strength and they go grow and mix with other people there, so that we Sierra Leoneans we go able to touch beyond load as people of one country. Yeah, NCD, National Commission for Democracy.
National Commission for Democracy. Now salon so we the top most positive participation in government and salon. National Commission for Democracy. Now salon so we the top most. It's in our province. National Commission for Democracy. Now salon so we the top most positive participation in government and salon. National Commission for Democracy. Now salon so we the top most.
Good afternoon. Now, so again, we welcome you to this edition of the NCD HOUR program where they come to una courtesy of the National Commission for Democracy. As we all know, this is a program where they come to una every Saturday, this same time, and we they try for discuss issues we get for with democratic good governance. Today we will look into the presidential seminar on service delivery we then host on the 25th February 2020 na the International Conference Center in Aberdeen. We they look at what in this seminar be about and what are some of the things we come out from this seminar and how relevant them be to with democracy and good governance na salon. The looking at the team we get relationship with that to the constitution, I go read at section 53 subsection 1 where it say subject to the provisions of this constitution the executive power in Sierra Leone shall vest in the president and may be exercised by him directly or through members of the cabinet, ministers, deputy ministers or public officials subordinate to him. These are the provision of the constitution which will find at section 53 sub section 1. Let I go straight to the updates. Some of the things we NCD don't do inside this week because we don't go into time. I not go bother with too many updates. I'll just do one. The very thing we discussed today, whether the presidential seminar on service delivery, the National Commission for Democracy being actively take part in that. And that is more reason why, in fact, we see say it really necessary for me to come talk about that today. And for help me talk about this very important topic, I'll get with me in the studio the Director of Communications and Public Relations, Reverend Jibrila Kagbo, we, as we all know, are the usual presenter of this NCD HOUR program. Reverend, say hello to family.
Family, do.
Okay. As we get along, we go also get another person who will join me. We now Charlie Israel Williams, a barrister and solicitor. We now also an activist. We don't contribute immensely to the programs, and I believe say they do a very good job. Reverend, they go straight to the program because, as we know, time not too much in favor. And before Charlie go join, we make us start with you first. Then you give me your pick for this week.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Fumble, my pick for today relates to the voter or civil registration that way NCRA for do very soon. And I decide for Tuesday as my pick because of course it gets governance relevance.
Okay.
But the fact say also that one political party, the main opposition, gets serious concern with a few elements of the arrangement especially because the press release of the authority, that is the National Civil Registration Authority, make mention of the fact, say, election related, that if you not register now, you not verify now, if you name not, you not go vote. Okay. And they raise that concern there, and I think it's a legitimate concern. Okay. Because we want to be honest with each other as Sierra Leoneans, and remind, we say, in 2016, when they enact the law for bringing into existence NCRA, and 2017, that same institution want for go ahead for do civil register from which NEC go extract voter register. The people of this country, including SLPP, then in opposition, vehemently oppose them. Okay. Say no, you're not supposed to be so. So if we see now, government don't change. Now SLPP they in charge now. APC they in opposition, but now NCR is in the go ahead with that same kind of thing there, and we see APC now they count for opposal. So like what they can say, what goes around comes around. Now what we want for say, as a good governance institution, we want for say make we follow the due process. Okay. If yesterday we've been condemned and say bad, today we'll get the courage for condemn and say back it bad, and make we look for solution. For me go like today SLBC gets the program talking point and listen to them. Now the issue will be discussed. I mean someone contribute, but let me get the line clear one. Okay. So the point is, let us go back to the drawing board, call all the stakeholders. I think say at a time like this, if NCRA want for take that particular step and then say, if you not register, you know the votes, we from don't go back and try to review the law thoroughly so that we don't get back to this kind of situation. But the fact say we not review the law and the constitution say one thing, it will say that the president now determine that in concert with NEC, I think so will forgo in accordance with that. NCRA can go ahead with the civil register, and for now left the talk about election. May them go ahead with the civil register. I think the election talk, I think they create the confusion. So we will try, make we all be honest, sincere Sierra Leoneans for ensuring we do the right thing in the interest of everybody. Yesterday, it was SLPP that was crying. And we see say, at the end of the day, they gave in and allow NEC for register people for elections. And NCRA later come up and pick the civil register. So today, if it is happening, let us not be in a hurry for just dismiss APC. Make we reflect back, 1-2 years back, what happened, and make we try for correct the situation in the best interest of every Sierra Leonean.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend. One thing that you make mention of, or when you say I think I need for reiterate, and maybe we need for throw lights on that. And like you say, for follow the due process. Mm-hmm. The matter, no matter how you look at the law is the law. You have to make sure say you do things according to the law. If you feel say this thing not okay, you need to go back and look at
and change the law, review them, follow the due process, make we do them right. So that at the end of the day, even if it's NCRA that is doing the voter register, we don't say it's according to the law. But as it stands, a very challenging and create or establish a very bad precedent. Wait tomorrow and by, we'll go get say why it happened this way. Make we follow the due process. The one that we raised voice yesterday, make them also ready for raise voice again today, because you want to be fair with everybody. What is food for the goose should also be food for the gander.
Okay, thank you very much for that speak. I think it's a very serious concern, especially for an institution where they deal with democratic good governance. These are the issues, and the one that in charge, the authority, they need to look at the issues. NCR said they listen, and they need to look at the issues themselves and make sure say they provide a solution way will be beneficial to every Sierra Leonean with respect to the law of Sierra Leone. Reverend, the topic of discussion today will be focused on the presidential seminar we just hosted recently now, the international conference now in Tumani, and no say you have been part of that conference because you attend with the chairman and executive secretary for represents the commission. Now, first of all, let's start by establishing the importance of this seminar.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baba. Without any doubt, this kind of arrangement, in fact, me even feel say a long overdue.
Okay.
For make the president call the key players together. In fact, one thing the way the chief minister and even the president keep emphasizing, it is the first ever presidential seminar where you bring all of the heads of the government agencies, call it parastatal, commissions, state-owned enterprises, they all came together. 83 of them, they were all in attendance.
Okay.
And so, that tells you something, say, the president don't change gear. In fact, one thing that I think I'm even jumping the gun now, the president make a statement, he say, he don't exhaust in your cards.
Okay.
They don't babysit so many people. It is now time for action. So therefore, if you're not ready for perform, in fact what he said join us. Make a rephrase that. He said join in to transform Sierra Leone or leave.
Okay.
That was what the president said. So it brings to the fore a president who say is serious about service delivery. And in fact, it talks say the people of this country are impatient. Then don't tire for the wait. And in our mind, the heads of these institutions, commissions, parastatals, state-owned enterprise for say, we get a 5-year plan for line ministries, 1-year work plan, and about 32 promises where they now been in the SMP manifesto were not transformed into the medium-term national development plan. And therefore, every effort will be made. In fact, they don't declare 2020 as the year of accelerated service delivery. So, moderator, we can't overemphasize how important that kind of gathering they be. Who say the man himself in charge of the country, they bring all the people together where they in charge of various government agencies for say it is time for me to deliver to the people. We don't say this, we don't say that. And when you consider the fact say for far too long we country get challenged in several sectors, in several areas, it shows the significance of this kind of gathering.
Okay.
And the way the president talk, he really tell you say it mean business is serious and it's not time for joke. It is time for make everybody come on board, because wherever you find yourself, as long as you are working for government, you get a sacred duty. In fact, this is how the president put it. He say it is a moral obligation for me to deliver on responsibilities. Everybody will hold one office or the other. That office they get mandate, and therefore we suppose for deliver on that mandate. And if the president call, in fact, he say he give instruction to the chief minister for say bring them people there together, so that they go able to understand say me self as president, I consider their role as being important for me to deliver on the things they will don't say. So by way of its importance, by way of its value, my dear brother, it cannot be overemphasized. At a time like this, they can say better late than never. The president I said don't come meet with all of them and tell them say this is the way to go.
Okay.
And I think say we all for brace up as Sierra Leoneans for make we deliver on the social contract where government gets the people of this country.
Okay, I think you don't hammer home the point well. I mean, for point out the significance of this very important conference. Like you say, I think this now like an opportunity for people the way they work. Now all these institutions see the president and the president the coach say the president will exhaust all in yellow cards. No longer yellow cards. Now If you are not with the president, you're not ready for deliver, then you've already received the red card. We have to see that a demonstration of seriousness from the president, and we hope say the one way the president talk to will take him seriously, and the president said go ready for using the card. But Reverend, what's really, if you say this mean to MDs, the institutions that we in governance, all the institutions?
I want to make this analogy. You know, Tem Kindewe, the players them, Kinde to themselves, they can do them, the interaction, the training, everything. But that day, the team manager or the coach, they call them together. They know say it is serious business. Not just to receive again. Now the other in charge of the team say, we don't want. In fact, one aspect of the statement we talk about say, we stop for operating silos.
Okay.
Being individuals, you see yourself as being independent. It mentioned something was significant. Of course, we the asset let not be abused, but at the same time irrelevant for making mention that institutions not for hide behind operational autonomies.
Okay.
For say we operational autonomous, not for become accountable. And a reference section 62, who say various agencies and departments for work with certain ministries for make sure so they deliver. But at the same time, it emphasized something, say, it not go allow ministries or ministers for micromanage these institutions. Okay. But it want for make people work together. And me, if you ask me, I think say that is the right kind of advice if we take the analogy of a coach or team manager for talk to a team. Because if you get a team who say some people not they play with other players for even like support them for make them score goals, it means say the team will struggle for play. But when you get the team manager and also for the coach don't come and say, this is our formation, this is how we go about it, you self they know say you get for sit up. And the MDs, the agencies of government, they were all there and they understood, as far as we know, they heard what the president said, and I believe say this time joke no day. Because a few other things happened after the president had left, the technical aspect of the presentations, but then we went into groups who say we do SWOT analysis. That is, we look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities who are available and the threats related to the work of these institutions. So, Mr. Moderator, I think say this one I wake up call to all of the institutions who are present for say the president they don't talk about, he say don't exhaust all in yellow cards. Okay. And we want to see the president living by word, and especially as they follow the due process within the law say.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend. Welcome into the studio, Mr. Charlie Israel Williams. Mr. Williams, you meet with the discourse. The presidential seminar we hosted the international conference now I've been to Mani. International conference now Aberdeen. We president talk to MDs and try for emphasize the point that this time people get for take their work seriously and they're ready for deliver. But before I ask you the first question, make I first of all ask you for a pick, at least make I give the opportunity for just give a pick quick.
Oh, thank you so much, and I want to sincerely apologize for coming late. My pick for this week get something for do with what we will call the current impasse between NCRA and I not been there, so I don't know it's not been the pick, but that's my pick. And we see Parliament self now get interest in the issue and then don't summon the DG. I think say this now debate will go for continue, and it will continue until we see a logical conclusion of it. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of that debate, but I think say now something where Parliament don't summon the DG, let them see, because there are times where what you can put out in public notice might have a different interpretation. Okay. So it would make NCRA go interpret within the right, and then from there we can take them on. Okay. But basically that's my pick for this week.
Thank you very much. It sounds like when I just get the same pick. We just talk about that, and we feel say it's really very important to make them read some of the issues in there, so that the one them we the positions authority go look at them thoroughly and make sure see at least they do the things they're not supposed to do so that the democracy will work. I don't know if
just a quick one. Charlie, you were not here when I raised that.
Okay.
You know, if you condemn something yesterday, no hesitate for condemning back today if the same thing is happening.
Yes.
Not because we don't change the drivers, means say if the same problems occur, we'll not for talk about that. We for be honest enough as a union for say no, this is not right. Yesterday, several voices went out for say no, we not allow this, and they did not allow it.
Yes.
Now NEC eventually, in fact, now NEC says register voters, and NCRA continue the civil register thing. I think say that same situation we will for continue with.
Okay.
If we want for even change them, let's take recourse to the law.
Yes.
Now the democracy we talk about.
Yes.
Nobody is saying that this person will do this person will do that. What we simply say, let us follow the due process.
Okay.
When that is followed, it becomes a win-win game for everybody.
Yes.
But for as long as the laws then they are so,
yes,
we're subject to certain interpretation. Well, like we say Parliament don't call them and then go give interpretation of what in this mean. We the appeal say, let us don't do something we will create unnecessary problem for our country. Make we learn from the mistakes of the past and try to correct them in the present so that we prepare for a better future.
Yes. So basically, as I say, I will only want for continue on that debate or that topic after NCRA don't talk to Parliament.
Okay.
And yes, that's where I'm going left first.
So you have to know what will be the interpretation.
Waiting at the interpretation.
Okay.
of the English way.
I think I'll bring you back to the discussion proper,
yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
You've not been able, like Reverend Trafa explained to you, the importance of this conference.
Yes.
More so when, in fact, the president's been there around and make a statement, and he try for make them very clear to ministers and head of institutions, parastatals, MDs, say this time around, people are for deliver.
Okay.
You will work for government for deliver, and that he not gets exhaust all the which means no more warning. So now if you know there is the president, you better leave. So I don't know if you feel say just the statements good enough, you don't feel say president need for like also give an example, because people can take something for granted.
Well, I go on for a sharp critical point. In the midst of this situation. I think say we don't see a situation where this current government, we see this issue of we inherit. And so there was going to be a time when somebody should say to them, you know what, now we're in charge, we should take responsibility, and we shouldn't be talking about we inherit.
Okay.
Because how long would you continue to talk about we inherit? Because even in management, they say like football team, then coach the way they sack new one come. How you meet the team in that state, you for either make it better than what it be, or a day how it day.
And besides, you already know the situation.
Yes.
So if you feel say you get a broken system,
yes,
you need for can fix them.
So for me, that aspect of another yellow card again, now a red card again, I for send strong signal to the one that we see them, they feel say if we fail safe, we go say we not be meet better team. So that is my own critical analysis of that statement at the first point.
Okay.
Yes, for call to order.
Make a button.
Yes.
Make a button. Of course, being one person, we're always not comfortable with that statement.
Okay.
This is what we inherited, with a broken, battered. I'm not comfortable with that, and I cannot hide it.
Yes.
Because we give you responsibility for make you deliver. But the interesting twist in the president's delivery, it got to a point where he said, yes, we've spoken for far too long about what we inherited. Now, more we allow them for seat to the back burner. make we put hands together and move this nation forward. In fact, that segment, they say it's a moral obligation for make we move forward and change the destiny of this country.
Yes. Yeah, because you say, in fact, just like what's in Charlie, they say that statement, people don't will hide behind that statement.
No, well, so the president says not look like fire until we say, yes, we know Bodande, but now we mindset for change, and we're ready for ensure say we produce results, and we want to see tangible results. So whoever may hide behind what we inherited, I think say the president said don't talk am. Yellow cards are done, and now in a serious business. We have to put our shoulders to the wheel and ensure say we deliver on we mandate. And that is why I call 2020 as the year of accelerated service delivery. In fact, the theme for the conference seminar itself now consolidating
foundation of service delivery.
Yes, the foundation for service delivery. That was the theme. And so for me, I was there, and I get some feeling of optimism, say probably we will change. Because until that refrain, what we inherited, we don't make some man, it don't serve as even sedative for some people. So some people were going to sleep. But now what the president say, that thing should recede to the back burner. Now we for put we shoulders to the wheel and ensure say we see results. Let's see what happens.
Okay, the program when you listen to now NCD HOUR, when they come to you courtesy of the National Commission for Democracy. Today we talk about the presidential seminar. We on service delivery we host an international conference now Aberdeen where the president go make a statement for advice or warn the one way they work with and government say this time around. Therefore, put shoulders on the wheel and make sure so they do the right things so make people push this country go. With me in the studio, I get the PR and Communications Director of the National Commission for Democracy, Reverend Jibril Akabu. I get Charlie Israel Williams, barrister and solicitor, and me when they bring the program to Ibrahim Sirajuba. Yourself can contribute to this discussion by sending in your text message to the number where they display on the screen. We will read your message. Reverend, this is really very important. But one thing I observe from what he just tell me, most of you talk about the importance of the conference. I look at the economy, but because I believe say these are the people where they even drive the economy. If at all and take what's in the presidency seriously, then I believe say the economy get for take it on. At least from this team, people they say the ground dry or this. I feel say that will change because all about service delivery and for make it reflect directly or positively on the people. No matter how people serve, if it don't reflect on the people, then it's a problem. Reverend, this question will be for to go like Reverend, I'll make you start with that.
Definitely, the essence of governance, now for make we distribute, we call it the wealth or the resources of the state, and the ordinary man for able for benefit. Let's break it down to bread and butter issues if we choose for call and so. If you're in charge for deliver on this thing and they reach the person, then it calls for concern. Thus the need for me to get this kind of engagement, and for me enough for stop there. There is one thing where the president say wait for me, I look forward to that. He says I am going to accelerate my unannounced visit. Say when he first kind of power, he start that.
Okay.
Yes. Although, of course, whilst we talk, we will look at the implication of all of them things then. Because if somebody, you get and work for do, but the person not get resources for do the work, that is also going to question whether, in fact, a reasonable for the person for do what he's supposed to do. And if somebody, for instance, supposed for go to office at 8:30, you go ask whether, in fact, he gets in allowance for making it in our office on time by way of say fuel, where some institution they don't there for almost month, like even NCD will be they work for. We don't there for close to 10 months now. We not get fuel allowance. So you go ask, but the president say they accelerate it, in fact they add speed to announce visit. But also NCD not to the only institution where they work for government. You get several others, and if possible say others get everything in place. and we expect say them for able for deliver.
You know, feel say in fact now one way that it demonstrates the seriousness of putting the presidency, because you don't give somebody job, you don't give them the tools.
Definitely.
And institutions they grumble say they need to get subvention on time, and if you not get subvention on time, for God's sake, how you
so in fact in this discussion, the one thing we also need to emphasize by way of helping government from, because you ask me as a well-meaning Sierra Leonean, we want for make government succeed. Okay. But you want for also create the enabling environment for make people succeed in what they do. You know they set up institution and left them on their own. Set up these institutions, provide the necessary resources, the logistics or whatever you choose for column. When the people refuse for deliver now, then of course there is every moral right for take the necessary action. So in as much as this the seminar is in place, 100%. If mathematics for allow me, I will give them more than 100%. But at the fact that they will limit it to say the perfect score. 100% in place, but at the same time we need for appeal to government say the resources who don't say, even though you're not even adequate, like for really do the governance work what you do. If I am to personalize it, barrister here is an outsider in free for generalize, but me go personalize and talk about the NCD situation. 1.1 billion as an allocation for one only year, of course it don't amount to anything, but if that is what you've allocated to us, give it to us on time so that we're able to put in place the necessary systems and structures, the logistics we needed for make we able for push work go forward. We work really relevant, no doubt about that. In fact, we have always been there for first of what we call constitutional democracy, and we do and through awareness raising. We raise awareness on the constitution. In other words, we raise awareness on with democracy, and we also assess with democracy. That's what we've been doing, and that kind of work there integral to service delivery. And when the president called for make people then go with chairman of Minede, yes Minede, and I went there to give them the necessary support. We want to see that kind of thing they be translated into reality. Okay. And we are ready. As I speak on this program, I'm speaking on behalf of the National Commission for Democracy and say we are in line with waiting government want for see for this happen in this country, because all democracy work. It means say the benefit will go across to every Sierra Leonean, and it requires the necessary support from both sides. Support from the institutions them and support from the government ministry where they're in charge of distributing the resources to make sure say everybody deliver. And we don't want the excuses. As long as the Ministry of Finance provide the resources, nobody should come up with an excuse as to why we not do XYZ. Now make a point out something. One thing we're very significant again about that seminar. The finance minister SSF during the technical sessions do a presentation on the viability of SOEs. Okay. We get several state-owned enterprises, especially the one that we supposed to generate income for the nation. Well, the realization they say Sunday we don't get some serious problem. So we talk about liquidity, solvency, etc. in relation to the institution, because they're not seen to be viable. For what they establish them for, they can't profit for bring come to government, and then again they rely on government for make government provide the necessary support. Because if you're an income generating institution, you're supposed to contribute to generate resources. Like we're not an income generating institution, so of course we get our own challenge, but we play a vital role for ensure say governance business is handled the way it's supposed for be handled. And the consciousness there for make democracy work. So, Mr. Moderator, they look at we're not going to say with a pinch of salt, but we try to maintain the right balance for make the right thing be done, because we want for CCC alone move beyond who side day.
As you talk, you mentioned something really very important. The last just mentioned, for me, the democracy work, or even when you talk about service delivery, honestly, the institutions, the way they make money or way they generate money, then they play a vital role, because not only with the resources you give for, provide necessary support for service delivery. Make I just pose the same question to Mr. Williams. The president don't talk so tough, and the president says he get a local and he wants for make sure that people deliver. But again, not say they go with something. People that need resources, institutions need resources, and you get institutions at times where then they get resources on time. Yeah, how you explain that?
Yes, I think say the issue of management get for deal with the aspect of saying resources are scarce, and in Africa, what do we really see that we not get the resources, but then the effective management and utilization of that small way we get. Now, the emphasis day. We not get, but are we utilizing the small way we get in the best, in the optimal way for ensure say we able for do service delivery and make sure say wheels turn. Okay, so the availability of the resources is now one thing, management of it is another, and there I want to talk about the caliber of human resources or the human capital. Yeah. We need, you see this thing about appointing people based on the fact that if you don't do this for you, if you don't die for me, if you don't put in hand for me, if you don't put in aid for me, all of these things, we see them in politics a lot, to an extent that people get certain positions and they are cocksure that nobody is going to touch them because some sort of allegiance is owed. That Musa they are so I don't say are safe, because if you know it I be don't do, if you know the sacrifice I be don't make, this they affect service delivery big time. When people were not supposed for in a certain place, they're not prove well. They're not able to prove well, they're not able to show you evidence, they're not able to give you results, but they did it. Then see all they affect service delivery. In fact, they make some people become lethargic and also say, Igbo, if Mr. A not a performer today, me as well, at least me they perform small, so why should I be touched? That they create problem for the system itself. Okay? And the work with priorities. Waiting are with priorities. If you look at this country right now, you have to ask, waiting our priorities. One thing we want for emphasize. Now investors we want foreign direct investment for coming. If that is so, waiting we for put in place in motion. Electricity, water supply and so on and so forth. Up till now you see the city they struggle for water, light with the struggle. These are the issues. So service delivery get a whole lot of other things where they make it happen. And then the environment, how conducive it is. We lost the legal framework. We lost them. Will they abide? We cut them functional? Will they get justice? All of these things, they add up to service delivery and ensure say things happen. The other thing I want to talk about, we go to call terms of reference, TORs, and also the target. You see, we may talk about the performance contract. Also, if you don't do this go to call short-term goals, medium-term, and long-term. Now what you want to achieve this month, in the next 3 months, what you want to achieve in the next 6 months. So even as we talk about service delivery, we get for set targets. And at that, if you follow IGR, I'm sure is it IGR or the other institution where they ask, say, well, as president don't say this year of delivery, with questions we will ask now that, well, president, if 2020 in a year of delivery, like what do they expect so? Because to just say it in a blanket, you go begin wonder, well, is it the entire manifesto that we go see in play, or that year we go see they happen in the short term, in the medium term and long term? So I think say this issue of delivery, we not just for look in that vague manner or so broad and open, but let me try for cut them down and say, okay, in this 2020, now this will happen from now to this 3 months or 6 months or in to the end. Now this we will see. And that will make we able to get and correct and score them at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So
yes,
part of the seminar, especially the technical session, because you get this outside when I'm in the opening ceremony where the president deliver a statement, but then you now get technical presentation on the issues. We don't divide the entire workforce under 8 different clusters, where people then get different targets, but of course now under the same performance contract thing. Now the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, they spearhead that. Of course, the president, in fact, in his statement, say they also don't instruct the chief minister and the vice president for make the intervene so that results will be produced. But when it comes to the individual performance contracts, like institution, the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, they work on that. That was like a way of introducing the idea. Shortly, then go begin targets the various institutions. We already there under different clusters. And well, by the way, NCD go work under cluster 4. We're in sacrosanct, but we also look at working also under cluster 1 and 2. Human capital development, one of the first aspect. Then that cluster 4, it look at governance and accountability for results. And different MDs, different institutions also gets different areas in the work, and we get for we sign performance contract with government for say and so we deliver. And one not forget, the medium-term development plan is spell out everything. Year 1, year 2, year 3, what are the targets, what are the deliverables. And in fact, like we at NCD, we look forward to a meeting with the Minister of Planning in the shortest possible time for make we go back and reiterate what are the deliverables and how we for access the necessary support for make we deliver on them things and they. So it's spelled out. And for me, it's a good thing that NGOs are coming up and asking government, say, clarify this for we. Because you want to know every step of the way. If you say, this is my strategic objective, you have to look at the output. Yes. What you get for deliver? For sure say you meet that particular target day. All of these things are part of the arrangement. And so, just like how in the old regime we were talking about performance contract, similarly, that is what's going to commence with this new arrangement. And so, everybody for sit up. Because, like how the president said, the people are impatient. So many things say, well, lapses don't they? And you mentioned something very, very important. When we stop the policy of compensation of the country, people go sober up and they'll say, I'm employed because I'm qualified. Not because I sabi Siraju or I sabi Barrister Williams. Even if you sabi me, you employ me because you don't say I qualify for do the job. It no matter whether now me they wash you foot way, me they run up and down. If I'm not qualified to do the work where you wait for make you succeed, don't give me the job. But if I'm the qualified person, I'll say that person I mean, no, the leak, whether my booty the leak or whatever the leak, if you're not qualified, that person should not receive the job. Because at the end of the day, it is what you deliver that is what guarantees you for the next opportunity. If you not deliver, no, it's no two ways not there about it. Because now when people insist say, I deserve this thing, we not deserve, and I didn't the community violence, the community problem, the come on. But we want for create that kind of atmosphere who say everything will work in accordance with what we call due process when in democracy team up for.
I was going to ask that in fact that means supposed to be my last question. What's not be NCD or also NCD in all of this, would not be NCD role and how important NCD will be. You cannot see every institution, every MDA by way of their mandates, they get for play and then get you for contribution to them targets and this. So like I've been just once for ask what's in our NCD the role in this and how important?
Of course, you don't come up clear one. But when you look at because you know the step out of the mandate of your institution where you participate in it and then things for deliver. We mandate has always been for foster constitutional democracy, and that is why if you look at the new development plan, we did in particular under cluster 4 to deal with governance and accountability for results. And when you look at sub-cluster 6, where we talk about building trust in public institutions, USAI, of course, we continue to raise awareness. That is why when things happen, we not keep quiet. We ensure say we talk about them for make improvement day on performance. Because when we democracy work, it is in the best interest of not just the government but the people as well. And if it happen within certain parameters. We they produce that kind atmosphere, and that is the kind of work we are doing for ensure say we deliver on the mandate of the government, the mandate of institution, based on how the new development plan day.
Okay, Mr. Williams, like wherever you talk about, I mean, the cluster 6 building trust in public institutions.
Cluster 4 sub cluster 6.
Okay, so and cluster 4 sub cluster 6. I feel say really very important, because why they bring this, I want for like a project this very clear, because you get other institutions like NCD where they generate money, but they get a very significant role in the play. So I want to make you look at that, how important this cluster be, and looking at the role of NCD and other institutions like NCD, where they bring money but they get something for do with the psyche of people.
Yes, building trust is a very important pillar under democracy.
Okay.
For example, if people don't get confidence in NEC, that alone, it is enough for throw this country into the gutters.
Okay.
If people don't get trust in the police, that is enough for just create problem for we. So every institution of government, we for able NCD in work for ensure say we hold the balance, and that is why civic education is the core of NCD mandate. For able for tell people waiting how a good citizen for who that a good citizen waiting expected of you, and how the system they work as a whole. And that make NCD continue for advocate and talk about the things the way we see say no they go on fine na the country. Usai praise they we praise. Usai we see say question they for ask we ask. That balance NCD the holder. And that they make with democracy continue for be stronger and stronger and stronger. Trust, building trust into the system. If we lack trust, if the people, when they say we get what to call social contract. Now when the people then decide for take their sovereignty and hand them over to those who govern. And so if you imagine why the people hand over their sovereignty to the governors and to the governors. Now because of trust. But if that trust there, if it vanish, if it go away, I mean you're waiting there in Guinea, not so? To an extent that international organizations are pulling out now. They say they're self-defeated. That aspect of let trust stay within the system is very important, and that is what NCD is working on.
And for add to that, we of course always try to maintain that balance there.
Yeah.
So that we don't get that kind of situation inside, even though it's challenging, but we go still able to get trust in the institutions. Now imagine, yes, we go see the significant role of those institutions where they generate the income. But you construct road, you build a very good building. Somebody where in civic consciousness very low, it create data.
Yeah.
It turn born all day.
Yes.
What happens? You investment of this number of years go to waste. Where you not get institution where they like deal with the psyche of the people, forget them, for make them become civically minded, which is the kind of work that we are doing. And of course, the moderator, the one person where they help me coordinate the school operations there. We see how people they receive the thing what they do at the schools there now, and we want for sustain them. And sure say we do them right across the country and go to various communities so that people are aware of what's the responsibility to the state, not to just what in the state to do for them. An institution like NCD is very relevant, and we can say if somebody not blow you on, we the appeal to government, continue for provide the resources, make way for do more.
Okay, because let's just take this text message, although maybe we will get some for comments for now, but it's really very important because it gets relationship with UNAP. According to NCRA Act 2016 passed in Parliament, the mandate of the NCRA is to register citizens and non-citizens residents in Sierra Leone, birth and death, divorce, etc. The purpose of the press release is to do corrections done by NEC during their registration process, such as spelling mistakes, left out of middle names, changes of surnames of an individuals, and to register citizens that left out during the registration process for correct data accuracy for the purpose of authenticity, ID card issuance. The pending exercise that has been taken by NCRA is very important for Sierra Leone. That not the president, but the person not send in.
Of course, Siraju, make nobody no misunderstand what you say.
Fine, just 10 seconds.
The civil register is needed, it's necessary. then they hope nobody enough for question them. And that is why NCRA was set up. But when we begin to talk about election business now, you say this person will qualify for votes if he not coming at this particular time, and then the question mark there. And that will for try for correct. We are all Sierra Leoneans. The Parliament on call, make we able to solve the problem, make we not get anything negative out of this.
Okay, thank you very much. In the program will be the listen to the NCD HOUR where they come to the courtesy of National Commission for Democracy. Today we discuss the presidential seminar where they host now the International Conference Aberdeen, and with me I've been guest the Director of Communications and Public Relations for the National Commission for Democracy, and barrister and solicitor Charlie Williams, an activist, and we will bring the program to Yemina Ibrahim Siraju. But we meet again on Saturday coming at the left field with the words that you get for be careful and make sure say everything way they do, make sure say you do in the interest of the country. As now the only country so we get to Sierra Leone. Until we meet again, stay blessed.